everybody. It's Spinja. I recording this intro because I had an interview with Brian Tsang, and he just dove right in. He was very excited, so I just wanted to give him props here and just give a brief description about what we talked about. And we did. He told us quite a bit about the conference that he's putting together, called Full Disclosure Now, which will be happening in Florida in July. So definitely stay tuned for that. And he also talked about some life hacks and s.s.p. 101. I thought these were some very good things for people that are just learning, like you're just figuring things out, and he had a lot of great information. So I want to thank you, Brian, for your time. And I'm also gonna mention that Don kind of pops in there too, because
Yeah.
yeah, like he just did, because he just does that. So
I'm like
anyway,
Pokeroo.
I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you.
Started recording, and please tell me
Perfect.
about name dropping me and Full Disclosure Now all over the place, Spinja and Don. I'd love to hear that.
It's actually like we're on a quantum transformation thing with Karen Holton, and she always asks us, like, what do we got going on? And I explained earlier that, I had done some advertising for you, and I'm still working on the full one, and like what you guys have going on with Full Disclosure Now, right?
Yeah, and then I'm also planning. That's why I asked you for a graphic. I'm going to be making a graphic that I'm going to be putting on Instagram and my Facebook, and I've I'm I don't have a whole lot of time for social media promotion and stuff, but I'm going to do the best that I can and try to get it out as much as I possibly can as well. I don't have a whole lot of followers yet, but I also think that from like the angle that I'm coming from, I'm hoping to pull in other people, like other viewers that like coming sort of from a do it yourself, like homesteading, surviving, like like I also cover like poverty as well. Like I've lived a lot of my adult life in poverty, and we're still not out of the woods yet. So just like ideas on how to make, like, stretch your dollar and things like that. So
Prepping and the full disclosure movement go totally hand in hand, because when you think about it, the reason why we have the full disclosure movement and the reason why we have prepping is because historically the powers that be here in the US and Canada and worldwide, have been on the satanic side, if you will. And so this is a very natural reaction and outgrowth of we the people, and they go hand in hand. I think a lot of, like, I happen to be a prepper as well, to the extent that I and my group are, and we're involved in the Full Disclosure Now movement. And so
Yeah.
being introduced to people more on the prepper side, who maybe to them it's the first time hearing about secret space programs or military abductions, my labs, or the Montauk Project, as whitewashed in the show Stranger Things, which makes it look a lot more fun than it really was, according to my friends who were survivors of those projects. And then so up here on the screen, sharing any information about the Full Disclosure Now conference we're doing in July at St. Pete Beach, Florida, with a world-class lineup of presenters, is very helpful. It's helpful to me. It's helpful to our presenters and our vendors, obviously, and to the movement, if you will. We've got people, like I mentioned, Montauk survivors like Arkeem, and Alondra Markman, okay? And then you've got people who are remote viewing these experiencers, like Yeme Janae with the Farsight Institute, or Jessica Jones, a cryptid huntress. And you got people that we're bringing together so that we can change the world and bring about our Star Trek future, so that you and I don't have to learn the ins and outs so much of canning versus mason jars versus vacuum sealing, you know?
Yeah, and I think that ties into exactly where Spin wants her show to go too, is like there is a great wealth of knowledge in the community right now, and you have done a masterful job bringing that all together in your conference. And where she goes from there, and like I talk about it on my show too, is like where do you go after we know that okay, everything is not as it seems, everything is not the way the system actually works. You know, her show idea was like, what do we do? How do we step out of the system even a little bit? Is it a tomato plant in the closet in the apartment that you have to live in if you're stuck at, like, that's really the meat and potatoes of where she wants to look at this part of the our collective.
Well, okay, so that's a great place to be. And basically, the answer to that is hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Okay. So we do the best work we can, not to panic and to prepare and to get ready. But at the same time, we're doing the proactive work, not just reacting to whatever happens to economic crashes and stuff like that, or them messing with their food supply. We also do the proactive work of organizing together and getting out the word of the survivors, their testimonies in a coherent manner that basically helps us rally the call, not just among the survivors and the experiencers, but from Johnny Public and Jane Sixpack, if you will, to push from the bottom up on all the institutions, whether they're are, political, and authoritarian institutions like the Pentagon or the White House or Congress, or push on the banks to open up the records of where all the money's going, pushing on people to come out to whistleblow. And this is my favorite appeal that I like to make on these shows is, hey, if you're on the wrongdoer side, here's your chance for amnesty of whatever. And I'm not just talking amnesty with humanity and in court, when we put you all on global televised tribunal. I'm talking about in front of God. Here's your chance to do what right you can to undo some of the harm and darkness you've done to all of us. And so that's my appeal to the bad guys, and then also I follow that up with a warning. Anything you do to us light workers who are doing sources, mission, if you will, anything you do to us, not only does it come back to you like 3 times, it's going to be probably more like 7 or 10 or even 100 or go from there, but a lot of these people, they're not thinking right still. If you go by the reports of people like Kim Gogan on United Network News, and I like her reports a lot. And then Spinja, for you, I like how you've got the spinning wheel behind you, to help keep alive that art. Like that's definitely a survivorship skill and art form.
Yes, and that's what I'm finding too. And that's why I've started this show, is because I'm starting to find out that I have stuff to share to help, to like that people don't know about or have lost or whatever. I did my first spinning video. I released it last Monday, and various people have commented that they thought it was a lost art. And it's hard. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. It's interesting, like this is a for another conversation, but I have questions myself about the various programs that I may or may not have been involved in, but there's a lot of stuff that has happened that leaves me answering questions. But anyway, I found myself at the right place, the right time to learn how to spin. And the community that I grew up in, or like, and learned how to spin, it was kind of second nature for me. Like it was a very art related community. My parents, the property was close to a sheep farm, so I never really knew that it was sort of out of the ordinary, right? And so um, I've also come to discover that a lot of there are some people out there that never learned how to bake. And I don't consider myself a great baker by any means, but you know, I know the basics. I have my family's recipes, you know, they've been around longer than I have. And so I want to share those. And you know, like the whole idea, and this is the part where I want things to kind of, I hope they catch on fire, is for other people to be inspired to try things, or if they have things themselves that they, you know, they start seeing gaps, share that, like bring in, you know, like let's start sharing, like we're doing, you know, like the community is doing great things in regards to sharing like all the fuckery that's going on.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. And but you know, like there are times where it's like, man, like what can we do about it?
In the meantime, we need
I
these new earth homesteading projects to kind of be constructive and not just reactive.
Yeah,
Good.
and I think that was one of I think that was one of the scariest things when I read that comment, is like even us as a collective, the ones that are on the fringe have almost forgot how to feed ourselves. We've almost forgot how to make our own clothing. We would be, you know, in a position to be very victimized if the system shut down, right?
Right.
Because they've gotten us to the point where we've forgot how to feed ourselves. We've forgot how to make our own clothes.
I'd
And
hazard
that's
to
terrible.
say, I'd say we're about 95% of this country looks like would not be ready if the grid went down. I mean, I feel like I'd barely be ready, and this is after I've been prepping and prepping and prepping, you know. Um, and so, but having said that, the more prepped we are, and the stronger we are in general, and this is why I'm a big Second Amendment, you know, 2A advocate up here on my wall, is because it's in that preparation and in that strength. You know, it's better to be a warrior than a gardener in a war,
Yeah.
right? Heard that saying?
Is there are there things that you've run across in your journey, like just as an example? I'll use my baking, my love for baking, for example. Like, you know, we were talking about how um we like the ingredients are in the pantry anyway, and if shit went south, things were there anyway. Is there other areas in life where you're just you're living, but stuff like accumulates anyway, so if it did happen, then it's just there? Is there, do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean, I'm always a big proponent of having, you know, guns and gear and food and making sure you got clean water. So it's basically you're taking care of all your needs and looking at how long you could do so if X source of whatever went out. So, you know, and so equipment's great, but like, you know, it depends on, so for me, it's a big part of prepping for myself is prepping for the scenario that I think, or scenarios that I think are the most likely to go down. Like I personally don't think we're gonna have nuclear war in this timeline. You know, that so I'm gonna spend less time, like I'll have like, you know, a Geiger counter, sure, a digital Geiger counter on my wall, and I might have some stuff, but that's not the main thing I'm prepping for example. My worst case scenario, okay. Well, actually, my worst case scenarios would be like a type of deep state fomented zombie type apocalypse because of biological warfare, weapons, and genetic and nanotech type stuff. Okay, you know, all the effery they're doing there. Or earth changes. Okay. Where if there was you know, meteor storms because or radiation nasty for a few days or even more, because of geomagnetic pole shift, and our magnetic pole shifted, and our radiation shield went down temporarily in the ionosphere, and so we got pelted with more radiation and rocks and crap, and you might want to be underground for that, that sort of thing. And then, then food, it's like for how much food, for how long, for how many people, so all these considerations change. So that's why in the meantime, I do my best to organize with others the Full Disclosure Now movement, because I think the sooner we get disclosure, the sooner we get access to the technologies that would enable our Star Trek future, the sooner we, humanity, know the truth, and we're not arguing about intelligent life on other planets, much less it being here. The sooner we're going to spiritually evolve as well, because we can't spiritually evolve living a lie. Okay.
Mhm.
And then the more spiritually evolved we are, then the less likely we're going to fall victim to all the shenanigans by the dark forces, the service to self types. And the more capable we'll be able to deal with anything that comes our way as a collective humanity, So in terms of what did survivors do to get back your memories, let me run down a quick list, especially because I know I haven't got access to your audience yet, Spinja. I know I've been on, probably half the people who watch Typical Skeptic also watch Jessica the Cryptid Huntress, watch Journey to Truth. So we've got a really beautiful community in that sense. So getting to kind of bring the preppers more into the fold is great.
Yeah, you know what? We never really went into an intro. We just dove in like
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give you some intro here. Let me see. First, let me try to find a file that I wanted to. I got a couple of tabs I got open so I could share my screen here. Basically, the way I got involved was I've always been a huge sci-fi fantasy person growing up my whole life, and I always knew there was more out there. And I think I've always had kind of like a running dialogue with like source or whatever. Like I feel like I'm talking to somebody, um, and they don't talk back directly, but I feel like there's a knowing. Like, Brian, get the heck out of SF during this scamdemic. There are greener pastures. Move into the countryside. And I did, and that was like the best thing I ever did. And I'm glad I listened to that voice. And so, there's moving out here during the scamdemic, as I call it. That was a big spur to me. I'm 48 now. To get involved with, like, and I always knew 9/11 was a bunch of BS, 3 buildings, 2 planes, like free fall, like no, just no. So that, I've always known not to drink the Kool-Aid, if you will. And my father, back in the 80s, and the Montauk Project might have affected him. They might have downloaded information to him, apparently. But my father, in the 80s, started something called Tsang Labs 8.
Mhm.
And what this did is he basically revolutionized computer graphics on the IBM PC side of things when they were competing with Apple. And because he got fired from Xerox when they were trying to compete, and they fell far behind. They got stuck more with like office copiers, right? Photocopiers, rather than full-on computer systems, right? But his cards, his chips, the graphic processing units back in the day, he pioneered overclocking. And so making his processors run as fast as the more expensive guys using more expensive RAM, memory, onboard memory, but with his cheaper memory, but because he was overclocking. And he also did other innovations. And so he made it big in the 80s and in the 90s. And that kind of afforded me the ability to go to Occidental College and get a biochemistry degree with a minor in economics with an emphasis on the environment because I thought I was going to go into the pharmacy industry and genetically modify plants to clean up oil spills or something. Found out that wasn't what the pharmaceutical industry is like very quickly out of Occidental
Oh,
College in Los Angeles. Coming from the East Coast as an American born Chinese guy from Pennsylvania and New Jersey and New York areas, where you spent the summers with family. And uh, it then enabled me the ability to move up to the San Francisco Bay Area around 2000, 2001 and see the dot-com boom crash. And then that was also 9/11. And I wanted to use my biochem degree somehow. And I began organizing physicians with an all volunteer group and organizing doctors as a nationwide membership to fight for the ethical practice of medicine. They call Physicians Organizing Committee. And I was full time with them 5 years doing medical advocacy and organizing, doing things like we'd have hospital groups like Sutter Health in San Francisco as a nonprofit hospital chain, not paying taxes of all sorts while jacking up the cost of care, not doing charity care, buying up low income hospitals in poor areas for pennies on the dollar, sucking out the wealthier patients and doctors and medical equipment programs up to their ivory tower hospitals in the nice parts of San Francisco. Um, and then going, we're going to shut down St. Luke's Hospital, and all the doctors and the patients and the community and the restaurants or taquerias that serve that hospital and the staff. They're like, what the F? Like, what's going on here? And Sutter, they're going to do it. And the supervisors just, most of them are paid off by Sutter and running their campaigns off of Sutter and Kaiser and whoever money, okay, who are these nonprofits running these huge gravy trains as nonprofits. They get, off scot-free. Nobody does anything about it, and everyone in the community suffers. So what we did, and this is pertinent because this is a lot of the approach we take towards the full disclosure now movement, the disclosure movement, full disclosure movement, whatever you want to call it. We want our Star Trek future yesterday. Well, instead of taking the common approach, which would be, hey, Sutter Health, they're going to shut down St. Luke's in the Mission District. So here I'm going to go to St. Luke's. I forgot I was still sharing my screen. Hospital SF Mission District. Okay. So let me try to find some of the more historic pictures of St. Luke's Hospital over the years. Old historic St. Luke's going back in the day. They were always a charity hospital. And instead of getting a bunch of protesters to go to Sutter headquarters or just line up on the steps of St. Luke's Hospital and say, what do we want? Healthcare. When do we want it? Now. The joke I always joked when briefing our volunteers, we're all volunteers,
Mhm.
there was it's like the CEO and there's his staff, they're going to be having their catered sushi hors d'oeuvre lunch up on like the 9th or 10th or 20th floor of the building, looking at the protesters on the parking lot saying, I hope the protester in blue doesn't scratch my Maserati. And they're
Wow.
like eating their sushi. And that's because that's pretty much how it goes. That's exactly how it goes. And so what we did instead was we organized the physicians as a membership, okay, to be able to say, we're joining physicians organizing committee to be able to practice medicine without being interfered by these bean counters who are coming in and shutting down our neonatal intensive care unit for premature children because they lose money on neonatal units because they think it's a bad thing. Okay, or they claim it's a bad thing when really they want to just shut down the hospital. Neonatal units can make the money with all the government money behind this. They just want to suck the neonatal program at St. Luke's up to their CPMC hospital up the hill in the nice part of town. Okay, and that's why they want to shut it down. So what we do is getting those doctors to say to the community and with their fellow nurses, wow, getting nurses and doctors to work together on behalf of patient care. That's something we haven't seen for 100 years, or 80. Get them together working. I don't want to say it that long, but you guys get my point. Get them working
Mhm.
together on behalf of the patients. Get the local businesses who, the doctors and nurses and patients eat at their restaurants to support our all volunteer effort to put together a news magazine and the materials to canvas the hospital to meet with individual doctors to get them to sign up to get them to bring us cases. We're doing real life medical advocacy, get lawyers to donate their legal services to fight legal fights. And then instead of just putting pressure directly on Sutter by saying, hey, we see you bastards. We've got this many heart patients are going to be hurt. This many, low income mothers who are expecting children are going to be hurt this year. This many. Not only do we rally that, we're getting some financial money. We're starting to get some city leaders who are like, you know what? My children were born at St. Luke's, and just because I'm not poor, I don't want to see the hospital shut down. That sucks. Like I'm going to rally. I'm going to take away my donations from the Sutter Fund. Okay, screw them. They're not a nonprofit. You know, Other things we would do is we would go to City Hall, and instead of just saying Sutter sucks, we would say, why are you supervisors at the county level granting Sutter Health nonprofit tax breaks while they're shutting down charity hospitals that in your district, in your city? And they're like, oh, all of a sudden they got to go back to Sutter and say, we know you gave us $1 million this year for our war chest to get reelected, but that's not helping because I'm getting called out and you got to do something about
Nice.
this. Now
Nice.
this is just them starting to feel the heat and it gets better. It gets better. Because I'm trying to teach everyone the nature of power when we are a minority force. Not that we don't have the majority of numbers, but we have the minority of power. We're not holding all the
Mhm.
guns and money, gold and
Yeah.
institutions and computer backdoor systems and whatever, the halls of power. That's not us. Okay. So once the supervisors and you get a couple of supervisors who are maybe they just realize that, hey, jump on the bandwagon with the people and the doctors to fight for the good old hospital, and they start to clamor against Sutter and say, you know what, maybe we are going to revoke your tax breaks here at the county level. And if you look into it, it's not really the county tax breaks that really would screw Sutter if they lost him, or Kaiser. I don't want to pick on Sutter, although they are a favorite foe and they know who I am. They remember me, even if it's been 10 years. Um, they they really don't like it when you start knocking at them on their county level, which then starts to hit them at the and jeopardize their tax status at the state level, and then
Mm.
ultimately federal level. So what happened is not only did we get Sutter Health to line up a bunch of, Dr. Brown or Bronner or whoever on the steps of St. Luke's Hospital wearing a Save St. Luke's button saying, we're going to figure out how to save St. Luke's, the hospital they were talking about how they were going to shut down. Okay. They put together these BS focus groups, and we went there to make sure they didn't just railroad us on those. We forced them to build a brand new St. Luke's hospital. Okay. And they wanted to chintz out on the level of number of floors, and we got them up to like 6 or 8 or whatever, but it was way better than like the 4 that they wanted and X, Y, and Z. And I
Wow.
was really proud of that, this campaign, if you will, pat myself on the back for it until the jab campaigns. And then I'm like, what did I do? You know? So needless to say, I'm no longer a full-time organizer. I still love POC. I'm friendly with them. I still support them. I totally disagree on anything pro jab, pro mask, slave diaper, face crap. Um, but that these techniques we're applying to the full disclosure now movement. How do you take your needs to the masses and fundraise and gain a constituency and break it down into systems and involve the people and have a correct line, and how do you be principled, and how do you involve people and not just waste their time? All these things is what whether it's a prepper movement or the full disclosure movement needs. And so that's where we're.
Oh,
Brian,
Brian, we lost your sound. Can't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Suck book a couple years ago, during the scamdemic, when I was saying, don't roll up your sleeves, do not roll up your sleeves, please, people, don't do it. Um, they shut down my account, and that depressed me. I'd like, you know, 2,300 plus friends on Facebook going back to my first girlfriend. you know, my boarding school buddies, because I went to this elite boarding school, the Lawrenceville school, which I never give them money, because of reasons, and they've got plenty of money and how much they charge and all that. And all the bullying and hazing and snobbery that goes on there. But I did make some great lifelong friends there. I did have some great teachers and staff, faculty there. I won't take that away, but they don't need my money. Let's put it that way. They ain't getting it. The movement is. But when Suckbook canned my account, and it depressed me. I had a lot of trolls on that account too. That's part of why I was getting all these reports. People reporting me for spreading false information when I was trying to warn people off of this stuff. And so when I finally started back my Facebook, I got involved in two communities. Number one was the sword community, because I like to collect swords, and there are a lot of sword makers, so I admire them as craftsmen, as artisans, right? Like taught spinning, raising food, metallurgy and metalsmithing, blacksmithing. I think that's pretty cool. Um, Although I personally don't have those skills, and I'm not set up for that yet. I do support the art, and I've got a sword collection, among other things. And I also got involved in the UFO secret space program truther community. Okay, and I friended people like Sean Bond. Sean Bond is with the Psionic League. I think it's psionicleague.com. Yeah, psionicleague.com. And he's someone who, he's may or may not have been part of these programs, but he certainly works with a lot of people who have been recovering their memories, doing healing and doing a lot of the psychic and astral and etheric and spiritual work, if you will. And he'll also be at our Full Disclosure Now conference. And, because he's part of, like I mentioned earlier, we have a very close-knit community of people who either are these experiencers or survivors, or people who, for whatever reason, are drawn to get the truth exposed. We're X-Files fans on steroids, if you will.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, and that just boom kicked open the door. When people like Penny Bradley, she's kind of like the grandma bear of the secret space community, if you will. Or Jessica Jones, who's an up and coming remote viewer, with her own program, Jessica the Cryptid Huntress. Now it's like, I myself never wanted to approach this community as a quote unquote fanboy. Wow, you were at the Montauk Project, just like on that TV show Stranger Things, which depicts it,
Yeah, yeah.
was going to be called the Montauk Project, but they had to change the name, blah, blah, blah. No, what happened was very shortly thereafter, through Sean and some others, I met James Rink and Angel Song and others who had talked about doing an 80th anniversary at Long Island, Camp Hero,
Mhm.
Montauk Point, okay, for the Montauk Adventure Tour. Okay. So Montauk, New York. So I don't know how familiar your listeners are um, with the Montauk project.
Um, I'm just at the very beginning, and a lot of the support that I'm getting is from the community. So I feel they would know what you're talking about.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Okay, so basically the Philadelphia experiment, when they put Tesla coils on the USS Eldridge back in 1943, okay, it was like 81 years almost now ago. Um, they ripped a hole in time and space, and some of the sailors got merged with the hull of the ship and died and got messed up. And the ones who survived, not many, suffered horrific lifelong injuries and were sequestered away in like Canada by the government, never to be heard from again, including their own families. And but needless to say, the US government, the deep staters at least, figured out that, wow, this time travel wormhole technology is real. And they moved that from doing what was called the Philadelphia experiment off of, Philadelphia, in the water there with the USS Eldridge. It jumped around a couple places, and I believe one of the places was off north of Montauk Point. Another place I believe was in Virginia. A lot of this is depicted in the movie The Philadelphia Experiment. It looks like they made a Philadelphia Experiment too as a movie, whatever,
Yeah.
based on supposedly real events. Okay, I don't know about
Hmm.
the second movie, but sticking with the first movie at least, sure. And so when you look at the map, they've got this place on Long Island, okay, called Brookhaven National Labs. So when you watch the show Stranger Things and they show um, whatever the name of that private labs are, where they lock up 11 and the kids and all that, I forget the name of it now. That's actually based on Brookhaven. Okay, so you'll see here they've got like one of these like cyclotron rings and all that. And as the story goes, they were continuing on this Tesla time travel wormhole technology experimentation on children. Okay, here first at Brookhaven after World War II in the 1940s, into the 1950s. And then when word got around, apparently, of the sinister stuff they were doing, kidnapping children from the inner city of New York and around Long Island, New York, out to Brookhaven, they eventually moved it out here to what had then been, from a post World War II, abandoned U.S. Army base known as Camp Hero, which is now a state park. Okay. And on Camp Hero here, you've got this iconic Sage radar tower. Let me see if I could find it. Um, can't type. Okay. Right here. This is the iconic Sage radar tower that everyone, is often depicted, because basically this Sage radar tower, what they're doing is they're using this to do early days 1950s, 60s, 70s experimentation, to beam populations with frequencies to alter our behavior. Sound familiar? Okay, so that's depicted in the movie The Kingsman, where they're all in that church and they hit that cell phone frequency and everyone freaks out and starts killing each other. That's an accretion frequency. They also have frequencies that can make you fall asleep or be extremely at bliss and docile or horny or want to poop, whatever. That because, like Tesla said, it's all about sound and vibration, energy and vibration. and frequency. Okay, so they were messing with that. And that's what a lot of this, our new clean energy technologies and healing technologies are going to be based on. And unfortunately, these bastards have been weaponizing this whole time. Okay. And so the Montauk Adventure Tour was to take people who, as children, were experimented on at this military base and in other places. They call it the Montauk Project, but they were also apparently experimenting with children underneath the Presidio in San Francisco. Okay, another, apparently, now decommissioned US military base with some nasty secrets underneath that beautiful land. Just like Montauk is beautiful land that was stolen by the US government from the Montauk tribes. And to this day, that the earth and those tribes are suffering that injustice. And people who are psychic and sensitive and shamans and healers who were there on the Montauk Adventure Tour with us last year, they could feel that. Or just being surrounded by the spirits of Native Americans, especially when we were at Council Rock there at Montauk Point. And so we were doing some Montauk Adventure Tour recaps. We had about 23 or 4 people on that tour. Many of them were survivors. The reason why they were using children for this experimentation is the government, US government, has found with like Operation Paperclip, through the rat lines, bringing Nazis over from Germany after World War II, to continue on these nasty experiments, including Dr. Joseph Mengele, who continued on apparently as Dr. Green was his new alias. Is that they found that children were more susceptible to mind control, MK Ultra, mind control with a K, Ultra. And then also they were using something known as the Montauk Trip Chair, which they found that only children could operate with their psychic powers. And even then, John Whitberg has been testifying to this. Even then, most of the kids they strapped into this chair died. Okay. And it was not good. And he's talking like plus hundreds of thousands. Like my numbers were 15,000 to like 300,000 victims of the Montauk Project over the years. John Whitberg is saying no. With the Montauk Project and with time travel and then all breeding and all this stuff and cloning and then kidnapping these kids and then alternate timelines, he's like hundreds of thousands up and up, like towards like 1 million plus kids. Okay. And
Wow.
Yeah, and that's bad. And they weren't all just dead because they didn't survive being strapped in the Montauk chair. You had kids who were sent through portals to nasty places where they didn't probably last 5 seconds, because this was the early days of what Arkeem Ra, a good friend of mine, calls Montauk 1.0 versus 2.0, where they knew what they were doing better, to the point where now they could actually send kids, time soldiers, back through these small portals back in time to then manipulate time and mess with time to then alter this timeline to put us onto a negative timeline. So if people ask, well, what is this all about? Messing with aliens, demon worship, CERN, Montauk Project, Michael Aquino, all these people, this is what it's about, is putting us on a negative timeline where the demon lords that they worship get to win. Okay. And for those of us listening to this podcast, if you're listening, you're probably on the positive timeline, I like to think. Okay.
This is amazing, Brian, because I've been listening to different podcasts, like in my search. It really kicked off, I'd say, last summer, and you filled in some gaps for me, because I had heard about the trip to Montauk, and I heard like bits and pieces, and you just filled in the gaps. And I think, like what you said right there, like it's really important. this is great again for somebody who just found, like, is just finding out about this stuff. Like, this is what you could have used.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
It is definitely a very softer introduction to this world than what I received. We won't get into me or that, but like that would be a much gentler introduction to that than what I got. And no, it was very well spoken. Something else I wanted to point out is you were talking about how you use your organizational skills in your day-to-day life that you've learned from working for all these mega corporations, well, the doctor thing. And I think that too, with that particular brand of thinking, if you take yourself out of your day-to-day perspective, even with us when we're going to go live on the farm, if we organize ourselves based on the model that you explained there, it just radiates success. Like I think what you explained earlier is a great model of to reframe your life if you're at a stage to do so.
Absolutely, because organizing, the first thing, and it always comes down to it, is people. And if you don't have a good group of people together, then it's like, forget about it. What kind of homestead is that going to be if shit's gone south, the grid's down, there's no communication, there's no gas station, there's no quickie stop to go to, and you're at each other's throats. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, you have to have that sort of, I'm trying to find my presentation here, but I don't know if I can find it on this computer. I've got a whole, oh, here we go. Never mind.
Beautiful.
Presentation of idea of how the idea is you've people is number one, and you have to centralize yourselves into an operations group, decision-making body. Okay. And off that decision-making body, you want to break down all of your people and resources into systems of your inputs and your outputs. So for you guys, it would be like people, operations, and then it would be like your homestead. Homestead one. Okay. You're trying to build your fully operational homestead Death Star. Awesome. Okay. And so if that's your output, we say that, well, to do a real output, like for us, the full disclosure movement or your homestead, if you will, you're going to need, number one, not only people, you're going to need, after people, usually it's money, finances, and then equipment, things, okay, and then materials, right, to use to build this stuff. In the meantime, you're going to need to house yourselves. You're going to need a way to get around and schlep your materials back and forth. And, it's really helpful to have an outreach to the rest of the world so that you can now, reach out and get yet more people and things and this and this and that. And so I'm going to give you a couple examples here, real life from when we were organizing to save St. Luke's Hospital. We have a saying, power from any position. Okay. So there are people who, in your normal day-to-day shit corporation that we have today, and these corporations are very soon, and they're already on their way out, things of the past. Because people have figured out corporations have no loyalty to us. So who gives a shit about
Yeah.
Walmart? Oh, I worked for Walmart for 20 years. Like they really care about me. No, dude, they don't. Okay. They really don't. Okay. People are figuring that out because they're watching the people who got 20-year veterans get fired first because Walmart doesn't want to pay for seniority. What do you know? Okay. So, and so in their world, if you're the bottle washer, you got no power. Shut up, kid. Just wash the bottles. That's not how we work. Okay. The way we work, there are a lot of people where, oh, I should have up here food. There's also a food system I need to add. Okay. And so there are people who they don't necessarily like canvassing the local neighborhood to get donations of either money or, let's say, food, because you got to feed an all volunteer group. If you're sitting there dialing till 8 at night and then processing your phoning for another 2 hours and debriefing everybody and putting your results and all that, you got to eat. So it's nice to have tacos or pizza or whatever food donated. Great. And there are places where, hey, my kid, I own the local taqueria and my kids were born there. Sure, I'll donate a bag of burritos. Like they'll do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people who don't necessarily like going and talking to the burrito owner, trying to go to the taqueria place, talk to the worker at the counter in my mangled Spanish to see if the owner's around. Why? Oh, we're trying to save the hospital. And they're like, what are you talking about the hospital? You want a burrito? You finally get to the owner, and some people, they don't like that work. Me, I learned, and most people, you come to learn to like this work because you find out that if you've got the right cause and you've got the right group doing the right work to solve the problems that people agree are a problem, you can talk to anybody. You can reach anybody. Okay. They're not saying this to, hey, people opportunistically jump onto the movement so you can be, reach out to Mick Jagger, whatever. But what I'm just saying is it's a demonstration of when you have the right cause and you're doing the right work, that is a power and authority, if you will. And that's what people are looking for, and I invite people, hey, you want that power and authority? Well, come on, jump on in, do the work, put up your reputation, your livelihood, your money, your time, your blood, sweat, and tears. You want to be the leader? Let's go, baby. I will step aside. I will follow you. That's how it works. Okay. Leadership leads, everyone else follows. And, I want a better leader to come along. And I acknowledge there are better leaders out there and they're great. And I hope to work with them. Okay. But let's say you're talking to that burrito taqueria guy and you find out not only were his kids born in St. Luke's Hospital, but his family actually is very wealthy. They're a San Francisco family that's been there for a while and they can donate like $1 million. I mean, that's not like a real life thing, $1 million. I wish, but it goes along those lines. That's probably more along the full disclosure movement. That's what those are the types of donations that we'll be getting when they see the work that we're doing. That's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, of course, further down the road. But the reason why you have power from any position is that no matter who you are, if you're going to the local stationery office supply place to get office paper donated and they hook you up with corporate, and now you've got like a $5,000 a quarter sponsorship in your news magazine, that's doable. Okay. That stuff happens. Or you're doing great prepper work with your show. You're reaching all these preppers. You got a prepper website, and now you're reaching to the chicken coop people who they want to reach the preppers, and they don't have a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
but they'll donate you an awesome chicken coop. And now you're going on every show about all your eggs and your amazing chicken coop. Is that worth the chicken coop to them? Yes. Is it worth your airtime talking about their chicken coops? Yes. Is it worth the time for the preppers out there to get an amazing chicken coop? Hopefully. And that's the new earth. That's how it works. That's value.
That that
And
is awesome. Yeah, no, like and that's what we're wanting. Like, sign us up. It's not all about money. It's energy exchange. Like, that's like they have backed us into a corner and led us to believe that it's just money, 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 money. And like, I come from a place, before Dawn was in the picture, I was a single mom for 10 years.
mm,
And I didn't get any child support. I know poverty. And so, like, and when you're in that position, and I think a lot of people are in that position right now, it's really, you look around and it's like, I don't have the money to do this. But there are people in this world that understand that, okay, you don't have the money to do it, but you do have something to offer. And like what you're saying, like, I think, like, we need to put it out there more, what we have to offer to help each other. And
so
that's, like that. Yeah, yeah.
the old world, you go to college, high school and college and get your degree and da 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 da, and then you try to get a job, a corporate job, and that was the old way. And while you're working your life away, the higher ups are reaping the rewards and the vast amount of the lion's share, if you will, of the profits, and hopefully you make a living. But these days that's becoming less and less and less. Okay. And so the idea is I'm trying to find through here the pertinent slides, if you will. But one of them is the idea of taking what you have to get what you need. Okay. And the old ways, instead of the old ways, it's like, I'll give you an example. Now, it's like, what do I have now after, however many years on the organizing as a volunteer and then as a professional job market? Okay. So, what do I got? So not only did I organize physicians for 5 years full time and learn all those skills, and then another 3 years part time. Okay. Then I also sold solar for Solar City, and then Tesla and their cars as well, and then solar and batteries and stuff for Sunrun. Okay. So I've got my organizing experience, and then I've got my biochem background, and I've got my sales and marketing background, and then I've got some resources thanks to the legacy of my father, who passed away from the jibbies last November from multiple clots in the brain. Because as intelligent as he and my family are, unfortunately, they bought into my dad bought early into the American dream and never realized that it turned into the American nightmare. How's that? And uh I'm using my skills to now, as an organizer and what I know, I can be a consultant. I'm definitely advising a lot of people. They come to me for advice. I'm not trying to be, a nosy Nancy, if you will, but I try to help where I can. And then applying that to the movement. I could apply those skills to all sorts of things. And I think you're going to find out there that there are people out there where they've got musical DJ skills and customer service skills and some kind of handicraft skills. And there are ways that they can combine that into a lifestyle and livelihood where they are contributing to society, doing what they love and making money out of it. Okay. A livelihood out of that. Okay. And I think that that's the approach that everyone has to take now, because that's the only way it's going to work, is combining form and function and beauty.
That's interesting, because when you say that, like, I'm already starting to see, like for myself, how I could potentially contribute to the community, but I would need to ask for help with resources. Like, just as an example, like I'm a sewing machine operator, and and that's what I do. That's my jam. I love it. And I would love for it, like, okay, so we've talked about the farm, and, like, we have our plans for that, but there's also, like, the reality is, like, until the monetary system changes and stuff, we still have to find a way to have income. And so that's the part where I want to take my skills and use them to help fund that, but also to help other people. So with my sewing skills, if I had the right equipment, I could be making merch for people with podcasts within the movement, and within the movement, and cut out the middle person, cut the costs, keep the costs low for the people, and but still survive. But the part that I'm missing is the equipment to do that. And so this is so valuable, because I'm hanging on every word that you're saying right now, because if I can't acquire the equipment that I need on my own, I'm starting to build the confidence and formulate a plan and a presentation on how I can put it out into the community. Okay, I have these skills, I don't have the equipment to do it. Anybody want to help me out to help others? That's the
Absolutely.
way it goes, isn't it?
Absolutely. You got to when you assemble the people, then you're always going to be able to get everything else that you need off of that. So there are other people who've got the spinning equipment. There are other people running the sheep farms. There are other people who've got money and want to learn. There are other people, X, Y, and Z. And so, this kind of brings us to the 7 parts to everything you need to do to optimize and be successful. And everyone who does this will be successful in whatever you do. And yeah, it takes discipline and X, Y, and Z, but that's how you make shit happen. The thing that they left out when Oprah, okay, like she's evil, I'll call her out. What she did is she taught everybody the law of attraction in a very lopsided way. She taught everybody, okay, everyone, think about it and dream about it and talk about it and whisper about it and do your vision board. And there you go. That's the law of attraction. That's the great secret. She left out the part about living your life in alignment, okay,
Yep.
with not only with your vision, but then asking if your vision is in alignment with what God's source wants for you and
Yes.
for the and for your brothers and sisters. Okay, they left that part out. Okay, and so
They focus
um,
on the materialism. That's the part, and that's the part where it's dangerous, and the materialism and led to spiritual bypassing and all of that stuff. Yes, yes. Thank you.
yes, so that's why it always begins with a briefing. Step one, is getting together in a consensus and spirit, if you will. When everyone knows what they're doing, what they're using to do what they're doing, who they're working with, when, how, and why, now anybody of your volunteer group or your crew can walk into that pizzeria, get to the CEO, and get $1 million donation. You know what I mean? Or get pizzas for life, or tacos for life, burritos for life. It's a mission district. And it's all about the why. Okay. And once you got, so for you would be homesteading, I'd be reaching out to everyone out there who is really like-minded. You've known them. Yeah, you met them online, but now they've been out to visit you or wherever you think you guys might collaborate, and you guys have a consensus. You've got a real common mission. Your kids all love playing together. Your animals love hanging out. Now everyone's bringing together the tools and materials. Now you're committing the act. You're building your homestead. Now you're debriefing. Hey, how did it go? The gains, the losses, and how to improve next time. You're record keeping. Who spent what, who owns what, how are we going to do this from here? Now that we've got this amazing compound, it's on my 40 acres of land, but that was your dome and that's your generator. How are we going to, you know what I mean? Putting it all together and maintaining it so it doesn't fall apart. And all these steps, a lot of people are, oh, that's so easy, Brian. Yeah, it's easy to talk about. It's easy to envision. Is it easy to do? No, it is not easy to do. None of this is easy. If it was easy to do, people, you'd be on your 40 acres with the mule right now, and your earthship, and your windmill, and your solar, and your X, Y, and Z. And I have not gotten any messages or emails from any of y'all like that out there. That's very far from it. Like, oh my God, Brian, I was in an apartment. I'm getting stalked by a psycho killer. The police department is out to get me. Whatever. So, and then like any good plan, kind of like none of Hannibal from the A-Team used to say it, but you want there's always a follow-up action. There's always a backup plan. There's always what we're all going to do next. It's like, okay, goodbye, everybody. That's a huge loss. You've assembled the X-Men or the Avengers. You did your mission, and then now y'all left without getting each other's cell numbers. Or getting their commitment on the next homestead for the next set of neighbors. Okay. And that's that. And then after that, you got to make sure that operations, the decision makers and all relevant actors, they know what's up. Okay. Because again, it's
Yeah, yeah.
important, where hey, what do you guys do with my tractor? Oh, sorry, we left it on the farm a year ago and it's all rusted now. Oop, there's a $200,000 loss. Oops. Okay, so that's report back. Okay.
Yeah.
And so these are some of the things that I've been making the rounds, kind of teaching, consensus decision making is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
As you might have heard out there in community land, that there are people, I'll bring it up, I'll go there, claiming that we stole their idea to throw a super soldier conference because no one else before this person ever thought about doing a super soldier conference. Okay, not like the Journey to Truth guys, Tyler and Aaron, through something literally called the Secret Space Program Conference or Secret Space Conference 2 years ago in Grafton, Illinois. And while I plug my conference with all of our buddies, a lot of them are also likewise. I'm going to give a shout out to the Rebels of their conference, which I'm also going to be at this May 13th to 16th in Grafton, Illinois, with a lot of people. And so they're still selling their tickets. And so it's going to be this conference for me in May. And Tony will also be at our conference. And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully Derek as well. And perhaps Lexi with a table on healing. And that's in May. And then, of course, our conference is July, and we're paired up with the Day of Being. It's called Day of Being because it started out as a Saturday with Zach and Sue Fisher, very close to where we're doing our conference. So they are our sister event kickoff party, if you will. So this is from last year. Here's
That's awesome.
Zach Fisher, and yeah, they had like 300 people show up last year, and this year they're going to do it Saturday and Sunday. Light workers, star seeds, healers, shamans, potluck lunch and dinner, barbecue, drum circle, and from there, that Saturday and Sunday, the 13th and 14th, right there at Indian Shores, 19601 Gulf Boulevard. They're just up the road, 25 minute drive up from St. Pete Beach, where we're going to be at the Serrata Beach Resort, okay, which is a lovely venue, if I do say so myself. Check it out. Let's see. It's right there on the beach, and rooms, we got the conference discount. And for that Saturday and Sunday for people to enjoy the Day of Being Beach weekend. And then our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday day and nights of the conference. Full disclosure now, and then let me pull up pictures because I love this resort. I'm going to be really happy there.
That is
What's
so
awesome about it, yeah, it's literally beachfront, and of course they've got their own swimming pools. So
I'm
this is a
so glad
resort right
you're
there.
sharing this because unfortunately, we won't be able to make it this year, but hopefully this will reach to somebody that doesn't know about it and is just like, yes, I'm in. I really hope that that this will help because this
I
looks
hope so.
exciting and yeah, this is
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you. Because when you look at our lineup, um, I mean, basically we've got like the new school and the old school. We've got the survivors and the people getting their testimonies out to the world going back to the 90s, like Miles Johnston and then Carrie Cassidy. And then while Misha has had more positive ET experiences herself, she does a lot of work with these experiencers, doing counseling with them and running also support groups. And so, you were asking earlier, how do people recover their memories? Joining support groups, reaching out to remote viewers and doing consults with them, or psychics, or people who do in-person quantum healing and hypnosis technique, like Drago Reed here, or Susan. She does a lot of really great psychic work with you online via Zoom or Facebook, if you will. video chat. So this is like the future wave, and I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun on the one hand. Who doesn't want to be at a Florida beach in July with like the
Right?
most amazing people? Okay, first kicking it off with a beach weekend, and then having amazing presentations, and then we're going to have dinners and dancing. And so, if you guys can make it, I would, my offer to you was you guys be part of the live stream team, and I would comp both your passes because you guys would now be working the event. Now you're carnies like me, not a mark. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
No, the people attending, they're the best people. They're our people, our
Yeah.
tribe. Yeah. And to think that,
No, I
yeah, Kat,
he's there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We know Maya and Rob quite well. Like we talk to Maya
right.
pretty much every day. So I don't know if the viewers and listeners are like if they know about Dawn does booking for Maya, and that's actually how you ended up here. So all right, well,
That's
I
right.
think that unless there's something else you want to cover, I think that I mean, I've made a lot of notes here. You've answered a lot of my questions. Like we've covered a lot. This has been amazing, Brian. Like thank you so much.
You're welcome, Spinja, and I'm glad to be back on your amazing program here anytime, and I'm excited to watch you grow and get more and more guests. And I know that um, all the people on my lineup, they're amazing people. If you like to reach out to them, feel free either directly or I'd be happy to put you in touch with them because they're
Thank
quality,
you.
of
Yeah,
course.
that's wonderful. So if you just want to like while we wrap up, if you just want to tell people like where they can find you and just all the details of the Full Disclosure Now conference, I'm going to be including all of that in the links, absolutely for sure, and I'll be sharing it on Facebook and Instagram as well. I don't have a whole lot of people following me yet, but just even if I just reach one person, I'm happy. So that's
I have a feeling if you reach even one person and you're reaching more than that. So the main places to find me, the number one thing that I'm kind of pushing, if you will, letting people know about is definitely the conference.
oh, we lost your sound, Brian.
Oops, sorry about that. The main place
There we go.
I'm letting people know about is fulldisclosuremovement.org because that's our conference website for July. These tickets are going fast. We've got our early bird passes. This is a 4 day and night event with world-class speakers at a world-class resort. So I like to think my tickets, our event passes are reasonable. Early bird's $420 for the 4 days and nights. Early bird VIP, it's $1,057. That gets you 3 buffet dinner meals because all 4 nights we're doing special event dinners. The first
Mhm.
night, that's its own standalone. But if you go VIP, you're automatically counted in for the next 3 dinners. And that makes it very limited seating. And you're going to be sitting with these presenters. We're doing a humorous Ask Me Anything panel dinner. We're going to do an
Oh my God.
s.s.p and reviewer panel dinner. And then we're going to have an intergalactic inner earth costume party dinner ball and contest blowout. And the first night, of course, is a foundation benefit dinner because it's costing me $5,000 to hire a law firm and do all the work to do a 501c3 because people are reaching out to me directly on Facebook. I'm trying to do what I can to help them out there, and it would be nice if it wasn't all out of my own pocket. It would be nice if I was able to get tax benefit contributions for that. And then through that work, I'm going to be offering online counseling and dispute resolution work
Hmm.
is what I'd really like to do out there to get people aligned on principles. And so you can always find me on this dumpster fire of a platform Facebook as
Yeah,
Brian
yeah.
sang the song be. I'm wearing the funny Willy Wonka hat here. Okay. And this is artwork that Christy Campbell, light language artwork she did around my profile picture. And so that's where you
Oh,
can find me.
thank you for that's awesome. Yeah, I've Christy's on my Facebook friends list, and we've chat quite a bit. She is such a beautiful soul. So, no, thank you again, Brian, and thank you to everybody that has tuned in. There's lots of exciting things coming up. I'm still just playing with format and trying to figure stuff out, so just bear with me. As you can probably tell, this is as real as it gets. So I'm using what I have access to, and that's the best I can do. So thank you again. Thank you, Brian. Thank you everybody for tuning in. And until next time, guys, I love you, and we'll talk to you soon.
This summer.
Join your fellow Starseeds, Lightworkers, and Experiencers at the 2024 Full Disclosure Now Conference this July 15th to 18th at the lovely Serrata Beach Resort on St. Pete Beach, Florida. Over 34 Montauk Project survivors, Secret Space Program whistleblowers, ET contactees, and psychic healers will be presenting in the name of the Full Disclosure Movement. The truth must be revealed if we're all to achieve our Star Trek future here and now. This conference will be a fun and positively life-changing experience for so many. In addition to 4 days and nights of presentations, there will be special event dinners, dancing, fun time on the beach, UFO night watch tours, film screenings, vendors, and more. Get your event passes and book your stay now at fulldisclosuremovement.org.